Well, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming here today. I know it's cold, it's 5:30, it's very dark, so I'm really grateful that you guys took the time to come here today. If you guys haven't already, there are refreshments at the back, so feel free to take some throughout the event. For washrooms, the closest washroom would be right in front of Orange Snail, so if you were to exit through these doors, I'm just walking straight, the washrooms are there. Besides that, we have André Williams with us today. So thank you so much for coming here today. That being said, before we actually get started with the event, I would first like to do the land acknowledgement. So York University actually resides on traditional territory, as many of you guys know. So without the Indigenous, we wouldn't be able to have an event in person like this today. That being said, York University recognizes that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as the Toronto has been taken care of by the Anishinaabe Nation and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy in the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Bell Covenant, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the Great Lakes region. So being said, welcome. So on your table, you guys can also have a look at the agenda. So there are two brochures that you guys can take a look at. But for today, we're gonna have André Williams do a presentation. He'll be discussing his journey when he was at York University. He's actually an alumni and also an organization called HLLN that's offered at York University. So he will go more into that today. And near the last 10 minutes of today's presentation, you guys will have an opportunity to ask any questions that you guys may have. So,
thank you so much for that, Linda. Can everyone, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So where to start? I'll start with, this might be shocking, but I have been at York University for almost, what is it, 20 years now? I know, gasp, right? So I say that because I recognize that students, it doesn't matter if you're young or old, it doesn't matter what background or context you come from. And I just wanted to make sure if there's anyone on Zoom, try the chat if you can or can't hear me, just let them know and I'll project if needed. I'm saying that because it doesn't matter what your context is. School can mean a different thing for you. University, college, it doesn't matter what it is, it can mean something different for you. For me, I don't like to, at the time I wouldn't have liked to share this, but years later, it's okay with me sharing it. So the reason why I've been at this school for 20 years is that I actually failed my first year at York University and they actually kicked me out of school. And the reason for that is I wasn't actually ready to take on the university life. I wasn't ready to jump from high school into university. For those of you who are too young to remember, there used to be a grade 13, which was meant to prep students for university life. We don't have that anymore. And so for me at the time, the gap was too great. Not because the courses were challenging per se, but it's just that I wasn't ready to take that next step. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I think when I was younger, I wanted to be a pilot. I also wanted to be a forensic scientist because I watched NCIS. I wanted to be so many different things, but I never knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do. And so as a result of that, I failed my first year. I got kicked out of York University. I had to write a letter stating to them to re-accept me into the university. But because of that, it actually affected timelines. And for those of you who know, when you want to enroll into your courses as an undergrad student, there's a timeline because if it's in demand, you need to get in quickly. But because I got let in at a weird time, I got let in like in January, all the courses that I wanted to go into, they were all filled. And so that already set me back. So I've already been kicked out for a year. I wanted to get into the courses that I wanted to get into, but I can't because I'm entering the university at a weird time. So I ended up taking courses that I didn't really like. And so not only did I fail my first year, I'm now starting to get C's and D's in all these other courses. Context, I'm of Jamaican background. And culturally, we get A's. That's what we're used to getting. B's don't make sense, C's don't make sense, D's don't make sense. But I'm getting all these bad grades. my parents don't know anything about any of the grades that I'm getting. They're like, how's school? I'm like, A's, A pluses, I'm getting everything. So, because I don't expect them to find out. So this is all going on, and what was 1 year becomes 2 years, becomes 3 years of this endless cycle of jumping into courses just to stay in university to keep my parents happy. It's like I was going to university for my parents, essentially. It wasn't until my 4th year that my parents, I don't know what it was, they found out that I was not doing that great. And they're like, they didn't offer to kick me out of the house, but there was disappointment. And that was the first time I've ever seen my parents actually disappointed in me. And so it was a huge shocker for me. But it was also an indicator to me that I was going to university for the wrong reasons. So what I decided to do was say, you know what, let me stop trying to force myself into programs that don't make sense for me. And one of the things I was trying to do was get into bio, because my parents were like, if you get into the sciences or if you get into math or anything like becoming a lawyer, that's amazing because those are the jobs that pay the most money. I went to a student advisor and they said, okay, you don't have the grades to get into biology, but we recommend that you try this other program in science. You have the grades for it. And at least if you get into the faculty of science, you'll be able to take those first year required courses because now you're in the faculty. So I decided to take the program and I ended up loving the program. So this was in my 4th year. So I essentially started again in 1st year in my 4th year in a program that I love. And then I took off because I found what I wanted to do. And so I guess I wanted to orient that with my experiences because there's more to it. I've only given you like what, 8 years of the 20 that I'm talking about. I'm orienting that to you because it's really important that you understand that university is not a race across with your peers. Because another reason why I was there was because I was seeing my other friends graduate. I was like, I need to graduate too. But it's not about that. Everyone has their own pace. They have their own journey to go through. And it doesn't matter how fast or how slow. All that matters is that you get to the end on your own terms. And so I ended up getting my BA for this program that I ended up falling in love with. And it wasn't in my plan, but I said, since I'm here, let me just apply to a master's degree at York. I got into the master's degree at York because I think what made the difference was that I found a program I love. So it was really easy to get the A's because I love the content. I love doing the work. I love doing the research for the content. I ended up getting my master's. And then I said, okay, I have my master's degree. So this is the other point. This is the turning point. So I'm not sure if you guys are all in undergrad or if some of you in graduate studies, but graduate studies can also be another trap if you're not prepared for it. Because I've been in school for so long, I haven't worked a full-time job for so long. And so the immediate thing that was kind of coming on the horizon as I was finishing my master's was, what am I going to do for a job I've never worked before? Do I stay in grad school and get the funding that you get in grad school? Because for most grad programs at York University, if you take a graduate studies program at York, a master's or a PhD, they cover your tuition and you get more for a TA-ship. And that's easy to do because I mean, I'm researching what I love. They're paying for my expenses. They're paying for my tuition. Why not just do another master's? So I applied to another master's and a PhD at York, and I actually got accepted to both of them. Ended up going for the PhD. So I said, okay, let me go back into this thing. Retract to what I said before. You want to go through university on your own terms for what you love to do. If you turn university into something that fulfills a goal that's separate from what you love, it works against you. And so I've discovered my undergrad, the new one. I loved it. The master's, I loved it. The PhD was a safety net. I didn't take it because I loved the program. I took it because I didn't want to get a job. I didn't want to jump into the job world. So I go through 1 year of my PhD. I go through 2 years of my PhD. I'm getting all A's in my PhD because like it makes sense to me. But it wasn't pulling me from a passionate standpoint. And so in my 3rd year, my supervisor realized, okay, you're starting to kind of backtrack on some things. We had a conversation and she said what I didn't want to hear. She's like, you know, sometimes it's okay to take a break and like push pause on your PhD. No PhD student wants to hear that because they want to finish and get out. But when your supervisor tells you, no, I think you need to push pause. To me, it was like she was saying you're a failure. But for her, it was like, no, I care about your future. And right now, I think you're pushing and forcing something that may not be what you really want to do. So what I recommend for you to do is take a break, a 1-year break, and just sit back. And then in that 1 year, see if the PhD is what you want to do, or see if working is what you want to do. So I took the 1-year break. I said, okay, I came out of school in 2021, and then started applying to jobs. So this is the most relevant thing, because most people going to university, they want to get a job after. Well, I have a master's, and I've been in school so long, so I'm like, okay, a master's degree is gonna give me a job because I'm smarter than everybody else. That's what you assume when you're going through school and you think, okay, you have all these credentials. No, I was humbled because I started applying to jobs for the first month, nothing. Second month, nothing. Third turned into 5 months, nothing. And so I'm here wondering, why is it that I have a master's degree, I'm applying to jobs that require a bachelor's degree, but everyone's saying no to me? And then started doing some external research, and I found that the degree is okay to as a check mark for employers. But what employers want to see is how you articulate yourself on your resumes, how well do you demonstrate your skills, and how much of a fit culturally do you fit into their workplace environment. So these things are really valuable to an employer. I didn't know that. All I thought was, and again, it's the Jamaican mentality. In Jamaica, once you have a master's degree, you're almost guaranteed a job. But in Canada, it's very different. And so I had to learn to reformat my resume, restructure it in a way that articulated my skills, not so much my credentials. And so what was, I have a master's degree with all these scholarships turned into, I like to do research for lifelong learning. And so those kinds of reframing, or that exercise of reframing how you articulate yourself, is really valuable in the professional world. Once I started doing that, I started to get lots of callbacks for interviews. And again, I love to articulate to everyone, especially because I'm here 20 years in York University, that lifelong learning is a thing. It's something that it doesn't end when you finish university. It continues. And once you have that mindset of continuous growth, expansion and development for yourself and your person, you'll start to see the benefits of it. And so I did get interviews. So I've learned to articulate myself in writing, but now it's the interview. How do I articulate myself when I'm speaking? And so I wouldn't get the job because of most interviews. And so what I started to do was ask the hiring managers, give me feedback. One hiring manager said, you give a lot of high-level concepts. This is a skill that you'd love to have in your master's or your PhD, but you don't know how to break it down into specifics that we want to see. And so I said, oh, okay, that works. Another one said, you don't have enough experiential components to your resume. You have a lot of education, but no experience. Another one said, and this was the biggest point to me, they said, you have a lot of experience, you're still not explaining it properly in your interviews. So what I advise you to do is go back to your resume, restructure it, including your volunteer experience, including anything that you don't think is important to include in your resume, and restructure it. So in today's time, things like I have advanced expertise in Zoom technologies, or Google Workspace, or Microsoft Office. Those things are beneficial because a lot of administrative jobs, they want to see that you know how to use Zoom and Google Workspace and Microsoft Office. They want to actually see that more than what your BA is. If you look at most of the jobs that you're applying for, they'll say the bachelor's that they want or related. That or related is important because you can have almost any bachelor's and be able to tie it into what the job description is. So saying all that to say, here's where the shift comes in. I've learned to articulate myself in my resume. I've learned to articulate myself in an interview, but I decided for myself that I've been in school for so long. I've learned not to use school or anything as a crutch for myself. It's all about making the system work for myself. So I said to myself as a mandate that my next job will be my dream job. I'm not going to take anything less. Mind you, this is my first full-time job. And so I didn't stop. I got job offers, and I actually got a job offer from an interview that I had off a dream job, and they offered me the job, and something said, just wait, because there were 2 interviews that I did. One for the company, the first company, and one for the second company. They were both the dream jobs, but I wanted to have the second one. Literally a day later, after interviewing, and she was one of the interviewers for my interview, I get a call from the director saying, yeah, so XYZ, we want to offer you the job. I was like, oh, I was about to accept the other one, but I got the better one. And so I guess the importance of this is, aside from articulating yourself and being able to show what you can do in your resume and in the interviews, don't ever count yourself down. Aim high, because chances are you can get it if you really work at it and just keep working at it. Like I will tell you, when it started to click for me, I was applying to like 100 jobs per week. It sounds like a lot, but like once you get into the groove of it, it starts to become I don't know what the word is, when you have dopamine release. That's what was happening. So I was applying to them. I'm like, yes. I did 100 this week. That will be my achievement for this week, because this is what I'm going to do to get to my goal of my dream job. And so now I'm in my dream job. And I want to kind of articulate how I got there. So remember, I don't have a full-time job on my resume. How did I get my resume to market myself to get into York University for this dream job? Well, part of it was short credentials. I used or took short credential courses and programs to upskill myself. And so project management was the piece that stood out a lot for my resume and helped me, because what project management does before you get certified is it takes every project that you've done in your life. Could be group work that you've done in school, could be some volunteer project you've done, being a part of a team, anything that you wouldn't think is professional, it actually counts towards the project management certification. And taking the course, it taught me that, and I was able to take everything that I have done that I didn't think was important and reframe it and repurpose it to market myself in a way that showed me to be a professional. And so you have my degree, you have my master's, I'm getting turned down by that. But what I'm doing is I'm taking all these soft skills that I've developed over time in my life that I ignored, and the employers are starting to see recognition because I'm showing them that I have these skills. Why do I say this? Because, and I'm going to segue into the next part of the presentation, which would apply to you, is there is something on the landscape across, I would say globally. So think the UK, the US, Australia, they're actually leading with it right now. It's called micro-credentialing or digital credentials. And what they do is they offer small courses. And when I say small, it could be like 4 days or up to like 3 weeks, 12 weeks maybe. Small courses that give you very specific skills that industry and employers want. And for a micro-credential to be developed, an industry partner has to say, yes, I want these things, and then the school develops those credentials for them. It's different from a university program because a university program is developed by subject matter experts or professors, but it's not necessarily in consultation with an employer or an industry partner. And so, she's gonna fix that for me. So I'm saying that because what I wanted to do is talk to you a little bit about digital credentialing. Did I go wrong? Oh, okay, there it is. Perfect. So as you can see on this slide here, it's experience-based. So as industries partners are developing it with schools like York University, what they care a lot about is not so much the knowledge and the theory, but can you practice this? Can you put this into practice? Is it an applied skill? One good example, I'll choose music, for example. A music micro-credential might be how to sing, but how to sing classical music and how to move your mouth to project in a way that gives you that classical sound. So that could be a micro-credential. And there are a lot of people who are paid lots of money to sing in specific ways. Voice acting is another one, which teaches you how to put on different personas depending on the circumstance that you're in. You might be asked to do a radio podcast for a news event, or you could be asked to do a promotion for a club event, but they require different personas. And so that could also be a micro-credential because it's a very specific thing versus the theories of law. That's a big degree program. And a micro-credential will be how to write professional emails to your employers, or how to, it's a forgotten practice, but back in the day, they used to have cursive writing. That could have also been a micro-credential. And so I'm saying that because micro-credentials are meant to hone in on very specific skills and then show you or give you the ability to articulate those to employers. And the good thing is, micro-credentials always developed with employer expertise, meaning if you have the micro-credential, you'll automatically stand up to your employer, which is basically what happened with me. I took that small certification, reoriented my skills to show the project management piece, and that's how I started to get jobs calling back. So like I mentioned, short duration, it's practical and experiential. And so I'm going to segue into what we do in Health Leadership and Learning Network in just a bit. Job ready skills, like I mentioned before, and it's customized learning. What does customization mean? Well, if you take a regular degree program right now, you have to follow the structure that they give you. You can't say, can I replace this mandatory with an elective? They're going to say, no, you're not going to graduate with a degree. Digital credentials, they are made to stack with each other. So you could take interviewing in like the faculty of LAMPS, but then you could maybe jump over to the faculty of science and they have note-taking in the faculty of science. Those two might join together to combine into ethnographic research back in LAMPS. So it means that you can technically jump across faculties with these small pieces of knowledge and then combine them to make something that's more suited to you and your needs. The sad part is that here in Canada, digital credentials are only majorly offered in continuing education, meaning once you graduate, that's when you can start taking digital credentials because they're shorter. They're meant for people who are currently working or want jobs, and it's not meant to contribute to to your scholarship as an undergrad program would do. So at the Health Leadership and Learning Network, we actually have our own digital credentials, and they're meant for, I don't have the slide here, but I'm gonna look at the screen here. It's meant for people who want to start their career in healthcare, meant for people who are already in healthcare that want to bolster or upskill themselves, or for people who want to transition from another discipline. We've had people from, I would say, IT even come up to us to say, I want to come into healthcare. How can I do that? Well, we have a digital credential for you that will help you get your foot into the door. Actually, I can give an example. I'm kind of jumping forward a bit, but are you all health students at all? Yes? Okay. Do you guys know what the turnaround rate for a placement at Sick Kids is? No. Okay, I'll tell you. For every 1,000 students that apply, they might accept 10. That's less than 1%. Less than 1%, that's Sick Kids. But a continuing ed unit, like the Health Leadership and Learning Network, what we can do because we're engaging with Sick Kids as an industry partner is say, if you take our digital credential and decision support, which takes data analytics and uses it to inform clinical decision-making, you automatically get a placement at Sick Kids. So that's the benefit of micro-credentialing. Not only is it short, not only is it specified to job skills, but because it's specified to job skills, industry partners that are very stringent with undergraduate programs, they're more willing to extend those offers to people who are taking skills they know that they need. And then in exchange, what happens is someone who takes our decision support, micro-credential, digital credential, they get like 20 hours of experience in the hospital that they may want to apply for a job for. It's time to apply for the job. Guess what happens? Well, the hiring manager that you're working with in the placement, they remember you. They remember your skills. Immediately you get an interview. And you are already above the rest of the resumes that are sent into Sick Kids for employment. So that's just an example of how digital credentialing works. I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So if you look here on the screen, you see what we call a digital badge. The reason why digital badges are kind of overtaking the educational landscape right now is that, especially in the US, the UK, and Australia, and now Canada is starting to follow suit, these badges have something called metadata. Metadata has everything. So, you know, when you get your transcript, it has like your courses. Great. Can anyone give me, sorry, what's your name? I can't see, it's composed. Okay, just give me one course that you've taken in the last year.
Genetics.
Genetics, okay. And your name is? Yeah. Okay, what does she do in genetics?
What does she do in genetics?
Yeah. Exactly. An employer is going to see genetics on your resume and say, okay, I don't know what you did. But if you have a digital credential, what it does is it explains everything that you did in the digital credential. It says they spent 5 hours, I'm going to use IV and infusion, for example. They spent 5 hours learning how to take this catheter from this company and inserting it in, and they did that with 80% accuracy. That's in the digital badge. And when an employer clicks it, they can see all that stuff listed. They can also see that it's verified by York University. And for our digital credential, it's actually something that we're implementing. If you take our credentials, you get a resume export. Basically, it outlines a skills section for your resume and the experience section so that you don't have to do the guesswork. You just go copy, paste, bam, you're set, you're good to go. And it bolsters your resume. So that's one of the biggest things about the digital credentials. And so I know that there's an emerging leaders program here in Calumet, and I would actually suggest that you guys take that because it's a good test run to see what a short program would feel like. I know that many times we don't tend to take non-credit type stuff because it's not going to contribute to my degree, but I'm encouraging you to start getting into the mindset of taking those shorter courses while they're free before you start having to pay, because the employer landscape is starting to demand for people to take these small credentials. And so once you start getting used to what it feels like, you'll have a mastery of knowing what to choose when you graduate and you want to start applying for a job. Now, the biggest piece here is that our credentials, as we're starting to work with the deans in health, we're trying to develop a laddering between your undergrad courses into our continuing ed courses here at Health Leadership and Learning Network. And so just to give some context to it, I haven't defined it, and my apologies if I'm talking too much. If you don't understand, I think please just interject. The Health Leadership and Learning Network is the continuing education unit of the Faculty of Health. Just like how they have Schulich, it has a continuing education for the business school, we are that arm for the Faculty of Health, and we offer programs that help you to get jobs based on the industry partners that we work with. My colleague Pierre Odette, I'm not sure, she should be able to answer how many industry partners do we have on average right now?
Well, more than 25, 30, yes, because all the programs that we developed were actually in collaboration, and they keep feedback depending on how the industry changes. So more than 25. Yeah.
So, and if you think about that, like your regular degree programs, you won't be able to get those kinds of access from your professor. The most they might give you, and this is only in graduate studies, is access to other scholars if your future is about creating journal articles or becoming a professor. But when you focus on continuing education, because we have like 20-something upwards industry partners, it also means that we also have direct connections with them. And so if you take our program and there's an industry partner that you're interested in applying to, well, that's the benefit of taking our program, because they'll recognize our digital credentials on your resume. The other piece that I want to mention is that these credentials, the reason they're digital is that they can be attached to almost anything. A PDF resume, your LinkedIn, your email, your website, and if someone clicks it, they will see everything that you did for that credential. So that's the amazing part of a credential. The one other piece that I wanted to mention before I get into like the general synopsis of the programs that we offer is that if you take a credential with us after graduating, you automatically get access to jobs, like a job posting board, all of them with salaries. So I know that if you were to apply at a job in LinkedIn or Indeed, you're not guaranteed to see a salary. But with the jobs that are shown to you by getting a digital credential, you'll see those automatically. In fact, a lot of them are posted before they go public on the job board. So those are all the benefits of digital credentials, because again, employers want to see people with these skills, and they want to offer more benefits to people with these skills because they want those people working for them. So the long and short of it is, will this guarantee you a job? No, it's not. But will it increase your chances by 40 to 50%, maybe 70, 80%? Yes, it will, because it's packaging what you've done relevant to the employer and giving it to them. And remember, these are shorts, meaning you can take any collection of digital credentials for whatever job that you want and say, I want to take these 5. I want to apply to a job in teaching. So here's my communication credential. Here's my knowledge synthesis credential. Here's my research credential. Send it off to the employer. And that way they can see everything without seeing the fluff. Let me talk about quickly, how much time do I have? Okay, Great. So we actually have two segmentations for our programs. So again, because you're undergraduate students, I wouldn't expect you to be registered healthcare professionals. That's weird. But if you are a registered healthcare professional after university, we have a good suite of programs here from wound care to patient navigation. In fact, I wanted to go around the room just to see what your interests are, and then maybe tell you about some of the programs that we have. So can I start with you over here?
My name is Adriel,
Perfect.
and I guess one thing I'm interested
Mhm.
is working in sports.
Sports. So are you a kinesiology student? Okay, that makes sense. One thing that we found is my course director for motivational interviewing, for health coaching, she has this kayak club, and it's a huge sport. But one of the pieces to it is understanding how to navigate your body when it's at rest and when it's active, what nutrition you should be taking, and how to advise people on how to optimize themselves when they're engaging in a kayaking sport. And so health coaching is one of those short programs that we can offer you that's actually nationally certified, that would tie into sports, for example. So I'm just giving you examples of something. And so what are your interests?
Dentistry.
Dentistry? Dentistry, is it hygienist or actually becoming a dentist? Okay. So can you imagine getting into a room and there's someone who hates hygienists and you need to do a root canal? That's going to take some navigation with the patient. It's very easy to work with someone who wants to be there, very difficult or challenging to work with someone who doesn't want to be there. And so we have motivational interview. We also have patient navigation, which give you the skill set to work with different kinds of patients. And because we do have connections with First Nation communities as well as we develop our programs, it exposes you to different cultures, different mindsets, and different contexts, so that when you are engaging with the layperson as a healthcare professional, you're able to maximize how well they respond to you, and in so doing, increase the retention of your customers if you were to, for example, start your own private practice. Can I go to you at the back?
Marisa,
Perfect.
I'm actually a registered nurse. I'm doing my second undergrad. You want to go for medicine?
I'm gonna jump to you after because we have a lot of programs for you.
Both of them, by the way.
Both of you? Perfect. Okay, so I'll jump to you after. What for you?
Well, I worked in healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
worked in office, years, been there for 9 years, actually 14 years. And I worked as a PS level before. And so I wanted to take, but now I want to do patient navigation or cultural navigation.
Wow.
So I'm health policy, so I'm not quite sure. So I'm thinking your story resonated with me well because I've been in this journey a long time, and it's fine deciding what I'm going to do. So I'm doing my undergraduate, which is But anyway, so I'm thinking of taking the cultural safety coaches or the care navigation. So I'm ready to go.
You can do actually, just to help André here, there's one course that incorporates both.
Yeah.
It's called Patient Navigation Professional Certificate.
Yeah.
It has different courses. So it goes from patient navigation level 1. Then once you finish that, you go to advanced patient navigation. You have a legal webinar that you need to take to be aware of law here in Ontario. Then you take cultural safety, and then you take motivational interviewing. And this, all of them are small courses.
Yeah.
When you finish all of them, you will have a final assessment, which has a simulation of 2 hours. And after that, if you complete all that, you get you will get actually different badges, more than one. If you go through all that, and at the end you get a one big one that we call the golden badge. And it will say patient navigation professional certificate. So up to André's point, it will open your doors to different things. If, for example, I mean, while you decide if you really want to become a patient navigator, but you also develop other skills that may be really helpful as a PSW, like cultural safety, you mentioned it, and motivational interviewing too as well. So it gives you the opportunity to decide even if you really want to become a patient navigator, which I think will be great because of your skills that I heard, but also with all these additional skills. So it's, again, it's not a longer program, but it's still short. What I'm saying is that it has more badges for you to and more skills to develop. So that's an option.
That sounds great.
So
so much.
No worries.
so it's And I'm jumping back to you guys after, actually, we'll talk. I think the value that I'm trying to articulate to everyone is, this is the landscape, digital credentialing. Because again, short, if you're a working professional, you don't have time to do long. You don't have time to do a full undergrad and then, or a part-time undergrad and then do work full-time. You can't do that. But you can do this because one of the benefits of our programs is that we're 95% online. So it means that you don't need to be here in person to take a digital credential. And I think the shortest one that we have is cultural safety is 1 day. It's 1 day. So if you have 1 day and you say, I want to do this cultural safety and get those competencies that a lot of companies are looking for, not just in healthcare, they are looking for cultural competence, then you can take the cultural safety program with us. And it's not expensive. Oh, that's the other thing. When you think of like a York University full program, what's the tuition now? Is it like 8,000 now?
Yeah.
It was 3,000 when I started, but that cultural safety is what, 5?
It's 295.
295. 295.
Plus 7% off for December 31st.
Plus exactly, as a York, yeah, it's good, yeah.
I love this.
For
I love
York,
this.
I'm
for
on
York students, we have discounts.
I filled out my tape, I wanted to come to this presentation.
No, you did your homework, thank you.
So actually, there's one other thing. If you're an alumni of York University, do you also get a discount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get 7 to 10, depending on the course value, but it's from 7, so from 7.
Yeah. So we have programs that are designed for undergrads who are ready to graduate and they're thinking, okay, maybe I don't know what job I want to do, but I need something to guide me. These will also guide you because taking them are kind of like testing, okay, this is the direction I want to go, but also giving you the skill set. And in doing so, it helps you to, again, so not solidify, but increase your chances of getting a job in the field. Let me see. And again, we do have certifications that are good for non-registered healthcare professionals. I did mention, I touched on this one before, decision support. We went to an event last week and there was a bunch of IT people. They said, I've been doing IT for 15 years, I want to switch. So well, take the decision support certificate because it takes, I call it programming language, SQL, Python, and that kind of stuff, which you have experience with. And if you want to go into healthcare, this uses those skills in the healthcare field. And for those who don't really think about this, healthcare in general as a sector is a sector that's minimally impacted by other things, meaning it's very, the word is consistent. You're not going to get laid off in a hospital, not like that. They don't do mass layoffs in the public sector. Education is another one of them. Private sector, not so much. And so I say this because it's really ideal to upskill yourself in the healthcare sector because not only is it in demand because it's an essential skill. Actually, think back to COVID-19. It was the healthcare workers that were needed the most when COVID-19 hit us 2 years ago. And so I really wanted to articulate this. I think our brochure has a QR code on it that shows you, if you scan it, it goes to the website. Is there anyone on Zoom? Okay, I was gonna talk to Zoom, but I don't want to talk to myself. So that's kind of I wanted to articulate that. The last piece that I wanted to kind of not propose to everyone, but sell to everyone is, I've already articulated my journey, my undergrad, graduate, PhD, all that stuff. I showed you how I got my job, which is through these macro certifications right here. I'm illustrating to you that for people or individuals who are interested in health, you can look at digital credentialing in health because it will help you solidify a job. But what does that mean for someone who doesn't know where to go next? I think that's going to be my last point. If you don't know where to go next, my short answer would be attend an info session that the Health Leadership and Learning Network offers, because we can answer the questions based on whatever demographic you're from. Our programs do have prerequisites, but they're not like an undergrad, so getting into the university prerequisite. It's not going to be you need to have all A's to get in, or if you don't have all A's, you're out. No, it's more so we do a case-by-case analysis of what skills you have, and then see how it irons into our prerequisites. And so I think that's another benefit of digital credentialing. which is we give you the benefit of the doubt by looking at your skills, not at your master's degree. Does that make sense? So I think that's the main thing I wanted to articulate. At this point, are there any questions for me about anything I presented or any points of clarification? Yes.
So for this like short certification example, like for the IB institution, do they do like a skills lab?
Yes. Yes. Oh my God.
We just came from it.
I don't know how long we were doing it, an hour and a half, 2 hours. We were assembling the kits of the catheters and everything that the students for the current cohort need for their skills lab that we have scheduled in December. The reason it took so long is because there's so many elements in there. You have to use this specific needle with this size and these syringes, these dressings. So it's a whole thing. But yes, to answer your question, we have a skills lab. And if you were to take IV infusion with us, you have the option of doing the online skills lab, which sends you more items because you will be at home, or the in-person skills lab, which happens at the NSC in HLLN, which is the Nursing Simulation Center. So we have a skills lab. Did I answer?
Yes.
Perfect. Any other questions for me?
I have a question. I think it's a personal question. So for example, so I am a psychology, I graduated at York with a psychology degree.
Yes.
And let's say I'm interested in IV and infusion therapy, right? Or anything or like wound care, for example. But from my understanding, like a psychology degree might not, like I might not have the prerequisite for it. So it's like, would I still be allowed to take that?
Our programs are segmented so I'll use patient navigation, for example. That's one of our programs that we offer. Patient navigation is for regulated healthcare professionals.
Yeah, so just to answer your question, so as a psychologist, no, there's two reasons why you cannot take wound care and IV infusion specifically. First, because you need to be if you're not registered as a psychologist, that's like one reason why. Second, because it's not under your scope of practice. So for specific courses that we deliver, they have to meet both. That you meet the entry requirements, plus to make sure that it's under your scope of practice because we are regulated by the ministry as well. So wound care and IV, no, but for psychologists, even on license, let's say, you can take most of the other courses. For example, health coaching can be taken by you. You can take it because you have, and again, it's asking you a few more questions, but you can take that motivational interview, which maybe you saw already in your degree, but you want a refresher. That's another one that you can take. Patient navigation would be great for that, specifically in some areas. So again, it's not in case by case. It's not only the entry requirements, but we need to learn to address points. What is your professional experience, your education? Because it's not about just getting the skill, but it's to make sure that you actually will be able to use it. What's the purpose then with employer, right? So on a case by case, we can give that guidance. I have to say for registered regulated healthcare professional, most of the courses that we offer can be taken by them. In some other cases, we need to analyze the situation as well.
So to add on that, because continuing education units in general, this is across the world, aren't as governed by the larger university as undergrad and graduate programs are, means that we have the flexibility, speed, and robustness to create new programs based on the demand that we're seeing. And so if we have a lot of people unregulated healthcare professionals coming for a specific skill set that we can't offer to them, we can look into other programming alternatives or solutions that we can offer them, and we'd be able to launch them because we're offering really short, robust programs.
I also want to mention something. Maybe you are in that situation or you know someone. IENs is a really good example. International educated nurses, for example, or physicians. They have to go through a specific long process to get licensed, and definitely they should go if they want to pursue that option. But in the meantime, they need to get a job, because they have family members, but there's other jobs they can do within our skill, like patient navigation. They have great skills they could apply in healthcare. They could be paid while they commit to their license. Again, even for IENs and international physicians, there's options. Even international professionals with degree, to Andre's point, they definitely should pursue a degree here in Canada if they can or they want to. But there's other options they could actually consider in the meantime to get a job. And one of them is also the skills, like even program evaluation, if they're doing other things, if they come from a business background and they want to land a job while they pursue a degree here, they can take program evaluation and get a job in a nonprofit, social services, even the private sector. Again, there's options, but sometimes to Andre's point, our job is not only to come and present what we offer. If you have a question, you can always approach us. We are happy to provide assistance, even if you're not buying from us. We don't want that. We just want to be a source of information for your students in general, whatever you decide to do.
And so we do have our contact information everywhere here on the screen. So if you want to contact us with any questions that you might have, please feel free. And I believe, again, the QR code with my face plastered everywhere. You can scan the QR code and get that information. Are there any other questions related to programming or even digital credentials? Because I know it's new to some people and I love to talk about that some more. Yeah.
My question is, I'm just curious. So, I know you, asked the audience earlier what program that they're doing, and you mentioned some, credentials that they could do based on the program. So let's say, I'm in my 3rd year, and let's say I graduate, and I'm interested in doing one of your credentials. Is there a way for me to set up a meeting with an advisor just to talk about what kind of credential I could do? Because obviously you have a list of amazing credentials, but for me, well, I was looking through your website, you guys have certificates and professional certificates. I don't know the difference between the two, right? So I think it would be great to have a meeting with an advisor that could potentially walk me through what kind of credentials I could do based on what I want to pursue.
So definitely the information we have here is available. And if you ever want to visit us, our offices are in Calumet over there. On the 2nd floor. I had to find it like somewhere over there. That's one thing. The other thing, should I share this? We're planning, it's in the horizon, to have AI answer questions on our website. It's happening. Oh, I know, we're so innovative. So yeah. So the answer to your question is yes. We actually welcome questions a lot from anyone. And then we kind of see again what it is that they have, the skill set that they're looking for. And anytime we do attend job fairs or career fairs, we have lots of people coming up to us saying, okay, this is what my background is. Where can I fit in? And then we say, okay, you can get this program, this program, this program, this program. And then depending on whatever they like the most, we kind of iron it down or isolate which one might fit best for their needs. So that.
But I think the best, I mean, all the options that Andrea outlined is amazing. But in terms of also, we're mindful of your time because of school, exams, and all that. I think the best way for you to is to maybe go to the website just quickly and maybe you see a few programs and that you want to understand if you could apply. Just send us an email and we can schedule a call anytime, or even we might even ask you for more information just to gather. Sometimes we even have to check with instructor because instructor will have other source of information that could help us. So I think email will be the best. I would recommend the best to be the best option for now, just because even if you come to our office, you are welcome to. Sometimes you don't have information we're asking you available, and when you see the email, when we reply to you, say, oh, okay, I need to get this information, and then it gives you more time. So email will be the best option. But again, we welcome any questions that you have. To your point, third or fourth year students, in some cases, they're allowed to take some of the programs on a case by case. Even wound care for like a student finishing their nursing degree here, even if they are not licensed. In some case by case, depending we have confirmation during the third or fourth year, then you might be allowed to take even the course. The same as IB, but again, we need to share that with the instructor and the same with other courses, depending on, and even we can even check through the volunteering, your professional experience. Again, we really care about that too. So once you share that with us, then we can guide you in whatever situation you have.
Any other questions for us? Yes, us. Us here at the top.
What are your office hours for, I know you guys have the office on the 2nd floor. Do you guys have like office hours when people can?
I think that the best time will be like around like, let's say 10 to 4, like Monday to Friday. But again, because sometimes, believe it or not, we do a lot of face, but we're a really small team. So we just want to make sure we'll have enough time for you guys, because we really care. So if you send us an email before coming even to the office, say, I'm coming that time, we can schedule the time for you, so we don't get busy with other stuff. We really want to spend time with you, because it's on a case by case, everyone's situation is different. So that will be my best recommendation, but usually it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 4.
Okay, so I'll send you my question before I saw one of this already. I wanted to come here first to, before I do that, but I send you the application, but I send you to ask.
Of course, yes.
I'm taking the right course. I like what you just suggested.
Yeah, and FYI, we are in the middle of publishing more dates for next year. So they're happening in 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to publish them. Right now, you will only see maybe dates till February. I think if I recall that.
I think it's April 20.
Yeah, something like that. But we're publishing more, so it's just that we're confirming availability. But by mid-December, we'll have everything for, especially if you want to plan ahead of what you want.
Yeah, I want to graduate in April, I want to be done with all that.
Yeah.
Finished. There's one thing I do want to say, which is, if you have never taken a digital credential and want to experience it through HLLN, we have a free credential. Free doesn't mean useless. Please don't think that. Free means that through us it is free. Okay, that's what it means. It's a digital fluency credential and in conversation across Ontario with industry partners, not just from York University, but connected to all majority of the other universities and colleges in Ontario. The industry partners and employers are saying we're seeing a huge gap in digital fluency skills. And if we're not seeing that on the resumes or CVs that are applying, they're getting filtered out.
Yes.
So I'm saying that so that you can avoid being filtered out. We have it. If you'd like to take it, it is, I would say roughly, if you are tech savvy, it's gonna take you about 5 hours. If you're not so tech savvy, 7 hours. It's between 5 and 7 hours long. It's fully asynchronous, you can take it on your own time. It just needs to be finished before December the 18th, because that's when it closes down. So if you are interested in taking it, I don't know if we have a sign-up sheet.
We have a QR. Before you go, I'll ask you just to, there's a kind of a form you have to fill out.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go through your QR. Not that.
Is that like I manage? Is it the same thing? It's like I manage, there's a digital. Let's see, I manage.
No, it's not called I Manage. It might be similar, but this one is literally called Digital Fluency Accelerator Credential.
Okay.
That's what it's called. Closing remarks. Okay, my closing remarks are this. Look into digital credentials. These are the most important things in the world. I'm just saying that, but no, actually, they are the most important things in the world because they really upskill you. And I'm speaking from a personal experience and speaking from the experience of the students that we have come in to our programs. I'm also saying that because what I'm doing with my industry partners in HLLN is I'm setting up my digital credentials that we offer to be of benefit to the students. One example is students who take our credentials automatically get put into the first string of interviews with the organization that we're partnered with. So really look into digital credentials, because even if you're thinking to shift from health, there are other units at York University that offer wonderful digital credentials and have the same kind of partnerships. I know that like Lasan has a partnership with Spotify, for example, if you've ever heard of Spotify before. So lots of things. Again, if you are interested in scanning the QR code, Odette will have it at the back somewhere. It's that large thing beside the coffee. Perfect. So that's everything. Thank you guys so much for having me.
That was like, I'm so. Oh. Let me clarify. When I first had the opportunity to plan for this event, all I had was their website just to figure out who they were, what they did. So just being able to hear Andre and his perspective and just hearing it in person is very much different from what I read online. Not saying what's on their website is accurate, it's 100% accurate. And you guys can learn more about their program. So again, with the brochure that you guys have, it's a blue one. If you guys look a few pages, there's a QR code to their website. On that brochure is also some all of their credentials are popular, don't get me wrong. I picked the ones that I found was interesting on the brochure, so feel free to take a look. But we will love to have your feedback. So on your table, in the middle of your table, you should have a QR code to our feedback form. You can also scan it here, it's right on the screen. And for more events like this, we will love for you guys to follow us either through Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We will have another collaboration with Helen in 10 years, 5 years from now, or even soon. You guys get to hear from us through our socials. So with that being said, thank you so much, Andre, for having a wonderful presentation. And it's dark outside, so if you guys are heading home, York University does offer a service called Go Safe. So if you guys are taking the bus or however you're getting home, you guys feel free to, you guys can contact Go Safe. The number is on the screen right here if you need someone to escort you from point A to point B. I thought it was good to mention it because it does get dark at like 5 and it's pretty dark outside. So I want you guys to get home safe. Besides that, have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I got something for you.